What's up, everybody? Coming to you live, as always, from fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. It's Joe Herrera and Colton. I'm guessing you are in your place up in Utah?
I am. I'm in the mountains today trying to stay a little cool. It's hot.
No kidding. It's been hot, bro. It's hot in Vegas. It was hot. I was up in Logan, Utah last week. Taylor's son got married, and it was like 93 degrees in Logan, Utah. It's like, dude, it's
So
not
hot.
supposed to be that hot up there.
No, it is substantially hotter than I remember last June being. But hey, it is what it
Yeah.
is.
It is what it is. And that's kind of the theme of today. Today's real water cooler call. Yeah, the theme is it is what it is. And on the topic of it is being what it is, let's talk about Sharran You and I have worked closely with Sharran for a long time. I think we both, you may have known him before. I didn't really know him before the Real stuff. He came on board as president at Real, was there 2.5 years, crushed it. Like, I think we both have a mountain of respect for him and are stoked for him and his moving forward. What are your thoughts on the Sharran acquisition deal? How does it affect agents at Real? What's it mean for the real estate industry at large? Like, what's your take?
I mean, I think it's an opportunity for Sharran to do what he enjoys to do at the end of the day, right? So
Yeah.
He has been an incredible asset with the company. You look at Real has scaled from, 6,000 to 28,000 agents, a $200 million market cap to $1 billion market cap. And there's momentum. And there's always chapters in companies. There's chapters. I don't even think it's chapters, it's seasons, right? Seasons of lives, seasons of companies. And we rode that season with Sharran and Real, and it was a beautiful season. And now Sharran's in a new season of his life. We're in a new season of our lives and the company. And I think at the end of the day, nothing changes with the momentum of Real. I think the focus of Real is, very simply put, building artificial intelligence that enhances realtors' lives. And I think that the upside opportunity here is still greater than anywhere else. I also think there's still going to be a great relationship with Sharran and Real, right? He's still on the board of directors with Real, and he's brought Layla and Alex to Real things before. I think that there will be some intertwining there, and I'm actually kind of excited to see how we can continue to learn from acquisition.com and see what opportunities might stem from that. So, I mean, I think it's a big talking point when any major change happens, and I think that there's people that see the positive in it, and then there's our competitors that are going to see the negative in it, and they're going to try to paint that negative out there.
So it creates a void. For sure. I mean, you and I would be disingenuous if we didn't say having him as the mouthpiece of Real for 2 years every day. He's a workaholic, like constant content, constant events, constant thought leadership. He's involved. He's obviously on our board of directors. And so he's still connected. He obviously has ownership share of the company. But we don't have his voice on a daily basis evangelizing Real. He's going to be evangelizing his new position with acquisition.com. So how do we then, as Real agents, fill that void?
Well, I think it stems back to the culture of what Sharran, the cultural leader, would talk about is we are greater than me. And I think if Sharran's vision was as clear and as true as has been evangelized the last 2 or 3 years, is that we as a company and the agents and the culture is greater than Sharran. Sharran was a piece of that puzzle helping us. I think you always will be a piece of this puzzle. But ultimately, it's the culture that drives this. It's the community. It's the collaboration, which I think will lead into one of your other topics we're going to talk about today. But
yeah, for sure. That's what we're closing on. That's the hot one.
Which I think that if this company is, which I believe it is built on truly what it says it is we are greater than me. There's no one single person that is the driving factor of this company. We've got momentum. The momentum's not going to stop. Sharran didn't announce yesterday he was changing his phase of life with Real. He announced that a few months ago. And we still have, we still have the momentum even since he made that announcement. And I think if there's a place that Sharran was going to go differently from Real, I couldn't think of a better place than partnering with Alex and Layla, truthfully. Like it's a pretty cool opportunity for him.
Well, and I think there were people waiting for Sharran to announce he was running another real estate company. There was, you know what I mean? There was people waiting to hear that he took a leadership position at another revenue share-based company. And so Super happy for him. I mean, I'm sure it was an opportunity nearly impossible to turn down. Alex Hormozi and Alex and Layla are the voices of entrepreneurialism. And so, like, you know, and Sharran's a killer, and I think he's going to crush it. It is infinitely better than Sharran is the new president and CEO at Remax Enterprises or whatever. Like, that would have hurt. And so it's like having him still involved, losing his daily voice is, you know, it hurts, but stoked for him. And then I think that does bring up, you know, a talking point that I hadn't even shared with you that I wanted to talk about, which is the WGR, the noisemaker. So you're doing some stuff that you beat the bushes. I mean, you're fire and ice. All of your stuff is. Taylor was like, dude, did you see the TikTok that Colton made of it comparing real to the Mormon church? And I was like, Taylor and I are both LDS guys. You've got an LDS background, and so it like hit home for us. But talk about your process of noise making, because it is one that is controversial, but it's one that works. And I don't think you get pissed and create content. You create content that creates people getting pissed or people rooting for you. It gets them talking. So talk about your process of noise making and how you came up with it and what you're trying to do with it.
Well, to clarify, I was comparing KW to the Mormon church and why.
That's right. It wasn't real. That's right.
Business was real, right? It's interesting.
Yeah.
People took that as like I was either putting KW down or I was putting Mormons down. I
church down. Yeah.
I'm just saying, hey, look.
I thought it was a solid comparison, to be honest.
It is, and it's a great model. And it's great. Like, if I'm going to dedicate to a religion, of course I'm going to volunteer my time. I want to contribute because that's what that affiliation is for. But when it comes to business,
and also on that topic, it's okay to talk about other religious beliefs, other political beliefs without hating on it. And it's okay to talk about other real estate companies without hating on them. Like, it's almost like, man, if the word KW comes out of Joe's mouth or Colt mouth or EXP or whatever, they must be spewing hate. And it's like, no, it's okay to discuss. It's okay to talk. It's okay to share thoughts and feelings.
And that's so when I look at how I create content or make noise, as you say, is first of all, it can only come from my background. Like, that video doesn't work if I compare Remax to the Catholic Church. I've never been at Remax and I've never been a Catholic, but I have been part of KW. I have been part of Mormon. I've studied both of them very clearly and I can see these similarities. And as I look at my experience, for example, with KW, which I'm grateful for, I also only made $3,600 in profit share there. I make over $100,000 a month in revenue share at Real Broker doing the same type of contribution. So, that's the biggest thing. Is I look at my life experience, number one. Number two is I look at what is the purpose of creating content for me? And it is not just about creating content. It's about generating leads for my business. And I'm in the infopreneur space where I impact realtors' lives. They come to me if they find something that's attractive to them or that they align with. And then I offer them opportunities. I offer them coaching programs. I offer them partnership at Real. And so I'm designing my content based on my right fit clients that I'm looking to partner with, or agents I'm looking to partner with, in what's going on in their head. So marketing is about entering the conversation our right fit people are already talking about in their mind. And like, if you look at that video as a good example, people are already, especially KW agents, they're already having this conversation. Man, like, I'm putting in a lot of work here for a little return. Something's off a little bit here, right?
Right.
So it's a conversation.
I've never talked to anybody about profit share that has said like, oh yeah, no, profit share was rad. And again, I can talk about my experience with KW agents and talking about profit share without hating. Most of them, when you bring up profit share, kind of laugh. And they're like, I don't know, last year I made like $17 or whatever. And it's like, it's not a part of their business. And so then it's natural for us in that engagement to go, well, let's connect what you were doing as a leader, what you were giving to the community, and what you received versus that same process here at Real, and how revenue share is different than profit share. And so it's just natural to use our own experiences.
And it's the only thing you can use is your own experiences, right? There's that, and it doesn't mean it's right, doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means it's my life experience. But if you look at that video as an example, Number one, I hooked on a very hot topic. Anytime that we start talking about a real estate brand right now, people are like, okay, what's going on with this brand? But then when you compare it to the Mormon church, which Mormons,
Secret Lives of Mormon Wives and stuff is
right,
hitting hard right now. All your
right.
ex-girlfriends are on there making TikToks.
Right? So you've got the hook, but then you got the problem stack. The problem stack is me sharing my experience of, you know what, they wanted me to do the ALC. They wanted me to teach these classes. They wanted me to be a productivity coach. They wanted me to do all these things. But then I was doing those things. I was taking attention away from my business and my money. I wasn't getting paid for it, right? And,
Yeah.
Joe, what I was stealing from when I was doing those things at KW is I was stealing from my family. Because it's like, if I'm not making money, I don't want to be doing things that aren't with my family. At least that's who I am. I'm not saying that's for
I
everybody
had that
else.
discussion yesterday with a guy that runs 100-person real estate team, is pretty close to breaking even. And we were talking about real. And he was like, I don't know if I keep building a bigger team. I don't know if I go back into owning an independent brokerage. And I was like, dude, if I could be authentic with you, let me just tell you right now, you need to build a real estate network. The most profitable business I'm currently aware of is building a real estate network that has very little cost of maintenance and very high rate of return. I was like,
Yeah.
if you go open an independent brokerage, dude, what are your margins? Like of gross revenue, 3%, 4%, like a real estate team that operates amazingly well, is it like maybe 15 to 20%? A revenue share network, like that, if that, a rev share network's like 95%. So it was like, to your point, I was like, if you go into independent brokerage ownership again, you are going to be trading your time for the least profitable dollar you can have. The next trade for least profitable dollar is team. The most profitable business you could build is network. And so we talked about that a little bit. Talk about this. You're one of the guys that understand, or at least doing your best to evangelize AI. I put on here, how good is Leo, which is Real's proprietary AI. But in addition to Leo, maybe what are your thoughts on Leo, and what else are you using to supplement your real estate and coaching business?
I look at two major important things in business. That's anticipating where this industry is going so I can innovate into that. And number two is marketing into the innovation. That's simply put. And so if you look at the core values of Real, this is why one of the reasons I align is because they have the idea of technology plus humanity. Now, it might not be perfect in how it's being rolled out always with as any company, but as I look, I don't see any other company that's got that focus of technology and humanity, right? And so I look at Real investing a lot of money into developing AI to enhance real estate professionals, not to replace them. Whereas most other companies I see a lot is looking to invest in AI to replace real estate professionals. That's the major conversation. I'd met with the CEO of EXP multiple times after Spring left, and I was looking at what their vision was. I want to see what people's visions are. And the vision of like EXP Broker is actually the opposite of what Reals is. So theirs is like, hey, we have this real estate space, but let's bring in technology for agents to choose from, right? That's why they're making all these partnership deals with Canva, with Sisu, right? Whatever company they're making partnerships with. Whereas it's flip-flop with Real. They're writing the AI technology first. And I think that is, for me, extremely important in the future of the company that I want to partner with for this one simple fact. So I do a lot with Tony and Platinum Partnership. And a lot of people don't know Tony and his company, which is called Gupton Robbins Holding Company. It's his family office, is an investor in OpenAI. So he's been like the forefront of AI for a very long time. And him and Ray Dalio, and I can't remember, Peter Diamandis, are three people that I really listened to on this. All three of them have said over the next 24 to 36 months, the world is unrecognizable because of what AI will do to it. And so if my world is real estate and it's going to be unrecognizable, I want to hedge my risk with a company that's actually playing into it, not just seeing how it unfolds and trying to make partnerships with it, right? So some of the things that I think are very simple, like an annoyance. Right now, AI should be used to make decisions faster and get out of frustrated states faster. That's my opinion. So here's one of the frustrating states for every real estate agent. We have to renew our real estate license. It's a must. And when that comes up, how often is it that you forget your freaking login just to go to the division of real estate to find out when does your license even freaking expire? You're wasting 20 minutes of energy and time just figuring that out. I can just ask Leo, when does my real estate license expire? And it spits the answer back out, right? Or think about this frustration for real estate agents. You miss an initial, you miss a signature, and your broker doesn't tell you for like 3 weeks, so you didn't even know about it. Then you got to go figure it out.
Why am I not getting paid? Yeah.
Delays your paycheck. Now, Leo can run that in 15 seconds. You still go get it signed for now, but I can know up front if I'm missing stuff, not at the very end, right? So it relieves that pressure of the rush. So a lot of the ways that I use AI, I use ChatGPT. Here's the 2 ways I use, I think, AI the most right now, besides Leo. Number 1 is GPT. I've set up these individual folders inside of it, and I label them the parts of my life, like my relationship, my health and vitality, money and business. And then I went in and I created specific prompts for them the way I wanted to navigate my life. So if we take relationship, me and Elise both did this with this. We put in attachment styles. We put in the Gottman theories, which Gottmans are some of the like amazing like researchers around relationships and survive like healthy relationships. We put in a lot from Tony and that stuff. And so now all of a sudden we're working with our own AI to help us navigate questions and get answers the way we want to build our life. I think that is a way that everyone can use it right now. But the other way I'm using AI a lot is lead follow-up. So the lead comes into my CRM, which is Go High Level. We trained based on my scripts that have worked. And so now my AI acts as me via text message, setting anywhere from 2 to 3 new appointments per day for my company. So I think that's really where the next phase of AI is going to be, is more some of the agentic style. But I think we're a little early on too much of that. So future pacing, like imagine with your customer calls you, ask questions, but it's not you answering it. It's your AI answering it in your voice. Like that's
in my voice. Yeah.
That's the next phase that's going to happen probably over the next year or so.
Or text messages in my tonality.
Correct.
I know one way, just to add on and kind of to evangelize what you're saying. Like when it comes to Leo, I find myself now, you and I both run very robust agent network. I find myself answering more and more questions with screenshots from Leo. Because like someone will ask me on a Sunday night, I got like hey, I had a BBRA. I was the broker of our office. I'm not anymore. But she's like, hey, I had a BBRA and the buyers walked and they went to a new home without me and yada, yada. What should I do? And I literally went to Leo and said, hey, if I have a buyer brokerage agreement, yada, yada, what should I do? And it gave me all these suggestions and I literally just screenshot it and sent them. And so it helps me answer tough questions that may not be on the top of my head. But even one of the other things I love what Leo's doing is it is training the agents in our world to understand, to some degree, their first question should go to Leo. And if they don't understand that, like Leo knows more than Joe knows or Colton knows in relation to like, what are the guidelines of a brokerage operations deal, or when do I need this form or not need this form, or what fees apply when and when not, and like even in agent attraction conversations, when somebody's like, hey, I've got a team of 10 people, what is the post capping or post elite transaction fee for my team members? And it's like, you could go ask someone in your sponsorship world, but you could also just hop in and ask Leo, which has been huge. All right. I wanted to save this one till the end. Go ahead.
Quick on AI. People need to understand what AI is and is not. AI is not an individuality. It's a collective of thoughts that are in
it's a knowledge that it gathers over.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it's an analytical system that's evaluating that data in rapid speed, computing speed, to say, hey, here's the predictive most right answer to this from the thoughts. So it's not its own brain. It is a collective of all of our thoughts. And so we got 28,000 agents at Real, and the more questions being asked, the more input putting in there, it is just a bigger and bigger brain and resource that
the more it learns. Yeah.
I get to ask 28,000 agents, right? So it becomes a bigger brain.
Well, and for me with AI, I mean, I'm still pretty young with it, but I'll tell you, it has completely replaced Google for me.
For sure.
Like when I need information, and if you just think about the mind power you get back. So a stupid question like, Yeah, I mean, whatever, a sports related question or a family related question, a faith related question, whatever it is. Like, dude, I was teaching a Sunday school lesson on Sunday, and a quote came to my mind that I didn't necessarily know. And there were 150 people there. And rather than putting it in Google and hoping that I could comb through the responses to find the right quote, I literally typed in Google, what was the quote by so and so about such and such that talks about, such and such. And like, as I'm talking, I'm like, oh yeah, and I look and boom, here's the quote exactly. And it's
Yeah.
like, I know that that's not a real estate related thing, but think about the
Life.
time it saved me from putting into Google and then thumbing through Google links to hopefully click on a website that would give me the answer. And I know Google's doing their own AI stuff, but I could talk about AI forever. Let's talk about this. There is a debate in the real estate space that you and I have been a part of for years on somewhat of the down low, always talking about the virtue of the way we see it without addressing the negative side of what we see. So historically speaking, real estate, the practice of real estate is a lonely island world.
Yes.
When I got into real estate, Taylor and I were Remax people. We knew that the agents in the office next to us were just as likely to like lock us in our office as they were to help us find our next listing. Like they were not, they would view our success in competition with their success.
Mm-hmm.
And so this principle of tribalism, it has always existed in real estate. It is not a new thing for people to go, this is my team, this is my coaching network, this is my sponsorship group, and it's us against everybody else, intercompany and extra company. Mm-hmm. So you and I both coming into real, me more than you, had to adapt to this new world of collaboration because I was so used to tribalism, siloing, us versus everybody.
Yes.
Well, now in the real estate space, we're reading things every day authored by companies in our environment with different, I mean, because when we get into the real estate space, there's traditional brokerage and there's, virtual revenue share stock ownership companies. There's now like two worlds. In that virtual rev share stock ownership world, there's this debate between, Colton, you're my sponsor at Real. Is it you and I offering exclusive information and training to the people that you or I sponsor? Everybody else is out. Or is it we belong to a 29,000 person company. We are shareholders in said company. Yes, we have a sponsorship world at that company, but we believe that everybody there is there to grow and collaborate together. And there's really no in between on these two arguments. So what are your thoughts on this and what we're seeing kind of debated in the
Oh my gosh. Holy cow. Sorry about that.
Your dogs just want to get in on the collaboration conversation.
What's going on? This was horrible timing with dogs. So I think, hold on one sec. You're gonna have to answer.
You're good. His doorbell rang. So hopefully I articulated that well for anyone watching this. Like there just is this debate between tribalism, siloism versus collaboration, and like we call it one real. So go ahead, Cole.
So I think everything starts with your personal vision in life, what you want to accomplish. And I always think, I say, how old are you going to be in 5 years? How old are your kids going to be? Your spouse, even your parents, right? And as we get older, life demands more of us, and we have different phases of life. What I know to be true is the older I get, the more life demands of me, especially as my kids get older and my parents get older. It just demands more of me, which means I want to be able to build something that as my efforts are going into it now, I have less work and attention required from me later so that I can deal with the demands of life. When I look at the silo form, can you do that? 100%. Absolutely. But it creates a division in in one, the company, in my opinion, but two is it requires more responsible for me to compete into that. So for example, if I take a look at EXP, there are some really big silos over there, very successful people in there. In order for me to really compete into that is I have to design my own silo and I have to service that silo. So for me as the individual, I'm not super stoked on that because of my life vision and my goals and what I want to create. But as I look at being an agent owner and a major piece of helping grow Real Broker over the last 4 or 5 years, it's like I want everyone to thrive, because as everyone thrives, my stock goes up. Like EXP really doesn't have like a massive upswing of stock anymore. They kind of went through that phase. And so there's less incentive for the company to thrive, and there's more incentive for my silo to thrive. Why? Because if my silo thrives, I make more money, I achieve my vision that I'm after. Whereas at Real, look, as long as Real is thriving, I'm thriving. And that's the key point. If you look from 1944, I'm going to kind of compare it to the old world order from 1944 to today, like 44, 45, when World War II ended, they're established the American world order. The Americans just they thrived over that last 80 years until the last few years because we had a solid middle class, meaning it wasn't just the elites making money. Now, you look at Real, what Real is creating sustainability on is it's not just the elite growth ambassadors or the top rev share earners that are thriving. We're seeing story after story after story of people thriving. Like a great example I shared all the time is Lewis Weaver. Makes 12, 15 grand a month in rev share, $500,000 stock portfolio. He had open heart surgery, did not think he was going to survive it. And because of the company allowing him to thrive while he couldn't work for 3 months, he gets to win. That's a win for us, right? But if his silo relied on him, what was he going to do over those 90 days? He couldn't do anything because he wasn't there to be the engine behind it. So I think the major difference is this: a silo requires you to be the driving force in the engine, and a collaboration requires the entire organization, the entire system to be the driving force of the engine. And you have to decide for you, what is it that most aligns for your life goals and your vision and your outcome? Like, I talk to this all the time about a friend of ours, Spring Benson, who it kind of feels like she left and went to the rivalry, right? Like went from one team to the other. But I think at the end of the day, if you look at what she's building as a personal brand, she attracts agents and moves them into products. Her bigger product is not moving into EXP. Her bigger product is moving into the Spring Benson brand and moving them into Sisu. And so she sees being able to tap into 80,000 agents, go where the pros are type of deal as a faster advance to move her personal brand. And now I completely agree that that's a fast track advancing on the personal brand. Whereas if that's your goal, it makes sense. It's not my goal. My goal is to improve my brand, grow my brand, and also grow these revenue streams that don't rely on me in the future, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, 100%. I think for me, it comes down to, I think we've tried to be civil in the discussion, in the discourse around this. Like for years, we've seen people come to us from other companies and just say, when I picked my sponsor, I ended up in a world where my sponsor didn't totally support me. And then I was looking at other people at the company like, man, these guys are doing great things. And because I wasn't in their sponsorship group, I was cut out of the silo and I couldn't get their support. And so I've been very vocal that there are aspects of tribalism I really enjoy. Like, I think a world in which I could just go, if you name me as your sponsor, I will run all of your lead generation for you because that's my superpower. If you go, hey, if you name me as your sponsor, I will coach you for free. I sell it for $50,000 to people. I will coach you for free. It's a cool world, but the sustainability model, as you said, and ultimately, is there people who come to Real whose production helps support the valuation of the company that need a little bit of my superpower and a little bit of your superpower, even though they didn't originally choose us as sponsors? And it's to your point, people are going to choose what they're going to choose for their own reasons, not ours. Ultimately, I just think if I have to choose between collaboration or siloed, if I have to choose between one reel or tribalism. I'm going to choose collaboration, not by nature, but because it's what I believe to be right. Because by nature, I'm a I'm a Golden Knights fan. I think CrossFit is better than Pilates. I think my church is awesome. I think my political beliefs are awesome. I think golf is the great. You know what I mean? Like I've got my opinions about life, but it doesn't mean my opinions are always correct. And
Yes.
so just because I enjoy the competitive advantage that tribalism may give me doesn't mean that that's what's best for the agents that I'm
Correct.
privileged to support.
Yeah, I agree with you completely on that. And that's what boils back to what is your life vision? What are your values and what are you building for
Right.
your life? And if it aligns one way, awesome. If it aligns another way, then you should go around that. I think it boils down to alignment of what your values are and what direction you're moving in life. Because even if you look at like let's take EXP for example, because that's obviously the most common silo out there is because I know they've got their new co-sponsorship sponsorship that slip. That was that was a tongue slip. Sponsorship.
Yikes.
Lord knows I'll get some complaints on that. So but it's still a sense of I have to qualify to be a part of it, right? Like is meaning can I join this silo if I'm not having a co-sponsorship? No, you have to qualify with, hey, how does it work? How do you get to join our upscale as well? You got to qualify, right? You got to qualify. It's all about creating qualification from the agents as opposed to everyone's included from the agents. And I think that's the major difference between a silo versus a community and collaboration. And what's changing generationally, boomers and older Gen X were very tribalist. Right. If you look at how the older generation has been, the newer generation, which is the younger Gen X and millennials like us, is very community driven. We want to have a sense of belonging. Right. And so it's like if you can, that's the way this generation is going to continue as well for at least the next 15 to 20 years in the real estate space.
Going back to the noisemaker, how do people get in touch with you? How do people find you?
Yeah, just go to the Instagram, the WGR. Search me out. Instagram.com/the WGR.
Awesome. Appreciate you, my guy. Thank you.
Peace out.
I hope you're finding value in the content you've been consuming. And my goal is to earn your subscription. So subscribe down below so that you get notified when we drop new content every single week.